A warm welcome to our webinar. I'm glad that you are joining today because we brought along a very interesting topic together with Forrester today. So the topic we would like to discuss with you today is Agentic AI in AP automation. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce some housekeeping information to you. So we are doing it this way that we are recording the session today, and afterwards you will receive the recording. So in the next couple of days, you will receive an email including the link to watch the recording as well as today's presentation as a handout. Then one important point about the webinar, when you look at GoToWebinar, you can see this panel to ask questions. And I'd like to invite you to ask questions at any time, even during the webinar, during the presentation. We've structured the session today this way that in the end, we have some time for questions and answers. Yes, and about the time frame for today, I assume that we will need about 45 minutes for the presentation and the Q&A session. So that's just a very brief introduction about things you need to know about the webinar. Now I'd like to quickly introduce our speakers today. So I'd like to welcome Meng Liu. He's Senior Analyst at Forrester and specializing in AP and finance automation topics. And from xSuite, it is Matthias Lemenkühler, our CPTO, who will give the presentation from our side. So welcome to the both of you. And now I'd like to immediately hand over to Meng so we can really start and deep dive into today's topics.
Thanks, Dina. Thank you, everyone. So let me Great. So welcome to today's session. First, I would like to share today's agenda. So we're going to talk about a lot about Agentic AI. And so first, I would like to give you a definition for Agentic AI because a lot of different understanding about this buzzword in the market today. And second part, I will talk about the Agentic AI maturity heat map for AP automation. So you can see like which type of use cases have higher maturity in terms of AI, Agentic AI adoption. And then we will talk about some of the top Agentic AI use cases for AP automation. So you can see which use cases you can maybe start to use Agentic AI based solutions. And the last part, I will talk about how to manage the risk and how to govern those AI agents because they also bring some new risk we need to pay attention to. And last but not least, I will give you some recommendations. So let's first look at the definition of Agentic AI. So at Forrester, we have defined Agentic AI as advanced AI systems. So these AI systems are powered by foundational models. In other words, large language models. And that demonstrate a high degree of autonomy, intentionality, and adaptive behavior. And the Agentic AI system can go beyond just the traditional and deterministic AI agents. This system can plan, make complex decisions, and adapt to changing environments, thereby driving toward the highest level of autonomy in complex process execution. So here I would like you to pay attention to a few keywords. The first is foundational models. So we need to understand that those agentic AI systems are built on top of generative AI large language models. But how is it different from generative AI? The core is about execution. So Gen AI may be able to provide some answers to our questions, but Agentic AI, they can go one level up. They can not only create answers, but they can actually execute the task on behalf of people. So the core of Agentic AI is actually the execution part. So the other very frequent asked question we heard from many Forrester's customers is about what is the difference of Agentic AI and AI agents? Because people usually talk about, these two words, kind of exchange these two words. But actually, the AI agents and Agentic AI have some differences. So here I want to do an analogy. If we say the AI agent is a planet like Earth or Mars, then the agentic AI could be seen as a galaxy, which includes multiple planets. So if we translate this analogy into technology terms, AI agents, they are more like just applications. But agentic AI, they are actually systems, which can include hundreds of thousands of different applications. So when you talk about agentic AI, you need to understand that it's much broader than AI agents. So a very, very important and very interesting study we have done at Forrester is to map different type of AI technology against different AP, accounts payable use cases. And if you look at the top row, we actually have categorized different AI technology into three groups: sense, decide, and act. The first group of AI technology, for instance, text analytics, computer vision, are more like they can sense on behalf of people. For instance, they can capture the text information, analyze the text information. They can also capture some video, images, which is computer vision. And the second type of AI technology are decide type of AI technology. For instance, machine learning, predictive analytics, very, um, traditional or, very typical decide type of technology. They are actually analyze historical patterns and then they, based on historical patterns, they make some decisions on behalf of people. And the last category of AI technology, which holds the most, the biggest potential going forward, which are act type of AI technology. And in the old days, we see RPA could be the very early stage of act type of AI technology. It's already quite mature. RPA can execute some repetitive tasks on behalf of people. But today we see the rapid evolution of Gen AI and Agentic AI. They actually can, execute tasks in a more autonomous way, especially Agentic AI. As you can see from the heat map, it's already being adopted in some of the key AP use cases. If we compare Agentic AI with some other traditional AI technologies, this heat map already indicated the significant, adoption and also the very big potential going forward. So if we delve deeper into, some of the how agentic AI can be adopted in different AP use cases. So here you can see we, categorize different adoption maturity. For instance, the red and orange color means relatively higher adoption, more mature adoption, hot, warm, hot, and warm. And the cold color, for instance, the blue and green color indicate the relatively moderate or lower adoption. For instance, you can see some of the use cases like invoice matching, invoice data capture, exceptional invoice handling, and fraud and risk management already got quite a good adoption in terms of those AI agents and agentic AI. So let me, delve deeper into some of the core use cases for agentic AI. For instance, the first very mature, hot, use cases for agentic AI is invoice data capture. So you can see, some of the solutions are already there. Some of the agents, already being deployed by enterprises and companies. For instance, the agent can help our organizations to collect all the, the invoice documents from different sources, like from emails, from, portals, or even scan documents, so on and so forth. And the agent can also help us to extract the data, validate the invoice data in a more autonomous way. And what it can do additionally is to do contextual reasoning. For instance, the agent can help us to understand invoice structure variations across different vendors and also across different regions. So that actually, are some of the existing use cases we see many companies have already begun to adopt. And the second use case is also quite important, which is exceptional invoice handling. So before we have those AI agents, usually this process is quite a hassle. So include a lot of back and forth and very time consuming, a lot of human interventions. But now with all the different type of agents, for instance, GL coding agent can contextually code invoices based on company specific business practices. And also some invoice exception handling agent, they can capture those invoices with some missing data or mismatches automatically. And those agents can also help our organization to automatically provide the coding for non-PO invoices. This actually can significantly automate a lot of the exceptional handling process. And it's very good to see, these have already been adopted by some companies. So we believe those companies that have adopted those exceptional invoice handling agents definitely would achieve more operational efficiency, and also they can, you know, get a competitive advantage comparing to their peers. And the third use case is more traditional invoice matching, for instance, invoice match against POs. So we see some agents like PO matching agent, agentic approval agent, and also line item coding agent. So those agents can either help us to match invoice against POs in a more efficient way, or they can automate some of the approval process to route the invoice to the right people for approval. And then they can code the line item in the line item level, not just in the header level. So these all brings more autonomy in the space. And the next use case is about fraud and risk management. So compare with invoice matching, exceptional handling, this is actually a relatively new area. So the adoption level is relatively lower compared to the some previous use case we discussed. But actually, we see a lot of companies, a lot of the solution providers experimenting with this new fraud management agent. Some of the in the prototype, some already provide some beta solutions. And this actually, the potential is very huge because we know in the B2B space, a lot of new fraud patterns and more sophisticated fraud. And the fraudsters, the criminals actually are using a lot of AI. For instance, they can use Gen AI to create fake emails. They can impersonate as a legitimate supplier. So to mitigate the risk on the defense side, we also need to adopt those agentic AI, those agents to help us to identify those suspicious suppliers well in advance, and also can, mitigate the internal and external risk, fraud risk, and also help us to identify those duplicated invoices to avoid duplicated payments, which can save a lot of money for our organization. So the next use case is actually about the supplier communication. So this also was previously be quite complex, a lot of back and forth communication between buyer and suppliers. But now with the agent, for instance, the agent can, automate some of the communications by emails or even phone calls, can provide the answers to the suppliers in a real-time basis, 24/7. For instance, the agent can let the supplier know what is the payment status, can also send automatic emails to those suppliers. So it can actually significantly improve the supplier communication efficiency. So we see, a lot of those agents have been tested by many companies, and we believe it will be increasingly adopted in the supplier communications, for instance, in the supplier portal or supplier network. And we also see a quite straightforward use case for leveraging agentic AI, which is reporting and dashboarding. So this is quite important in the AP process, because at the end of the day, you need to create a lot of analysis for your cash flow from the invoices. And we already see some of the applications using Gen AI in the last year. But this year we see the agentic AI actually make those reports or dashboards even more intelligent in the next level. For instance, the agent can provide us with more insightful reports, and also the way to get the reports could be more seamless. It could be just through some conversational interface. For instance, the AP staff, they can chat with this agent to get a real-time based reports with a lot of insights. So this actually can help us to significantly improve the level of insights from the reporting and dashboarding, and also can make the user interface more interactive and user-friendly. So last but not the least is a use case of compliance, how to do the invoicing and tax compliance. So this is the most newer novel use case, because we see the less adoption of agentic AI. But the good thing is that some of the solution providers are actually proactively testing or making some prototype for compliance agent. For instance, those compliance agent can help our organization to validate some country-specific invoicing mandates and regulatory requirements. This agent can also potentially to augment our auditing process, for instance, to provide all the trails and narratives that can help us to understand some exceptional invoice. And also those agents will embed our organizational specific compliance or policies into the AI recommendations. So that's what we can expect from those upcoming, compliance agent in the next 12 months. So we talked a lot about the very exciting, new use cases of agentic AI. A lot of those agents can help us a lot. However, we also need to recognize the risk coming from those agents. For instance, some of the agents, they may, conduct some, they may make some wrong decisions. So there is some hallucination risk, and also their activities they have conducted maybe including some bias. So how to mitigate hallucination and bias is one of the risks we need to pay attention to. And also, when I spoke with many companies, they're also a little bit concerning about the explainability and auditability of those agents. Some agents, their actions are, like black box, type of black box. You don't know why these agents are doing this. So make sure the agent their activity can be explained. And also we need to make sure the agents won't abuse some of our very sensitive financial information, financial data. So how to keep the data privacy and security is, I think, the minimum requirement for before we adopt those agents. And also some companies, they may worry about whether the agents have some, you know, excessive privilege access to some of the system or applications. And those agents may have some unauthorized actions. So we also need to make sure to, provide us to monitor all those access of those new agents. And last but not least, there are some new integration challenges or interoperability challenges. For instance, different agents may not be able to talk to each other or communicate very efficiently. So that's some new challenges we need to recognize. So the core to mitigate those risks is to build the guardrails. Either, build something in your own team or with help from external providers. So the first, you need to create some policy or compliance rules for those AI agents to make sure those agents are responsible. The AI is not black box AI. It could be explained. Secondly, you need to have the data and privacy controls. Make sure those agents won't abusing your very critical company secrets or financial data. And then you need to create a security access controls to make sure the agents only have least privilege access. They can only access what they, the necessary applications or systems. And last, you need to have the business continuity measures. You can implement some of the rule fallbacks or disaster recovery to, maintain your agentic AI, operations. And here we have also come up with a quite interesting, new governance framework. We can actually categorize different type of agents. So in the next few years, probably you will expect you have multiple agents for your AP operations. But some of the agents, we can categorize them as a code agents. These agents, they are not touching, very sensitive data. They're not actually executing a lot of tasks. Probably the only task they will be doing is to create answer some queries. So those agents could be just a read-only agents. So for those lower risk agents, our risk tolerance level could be, higher. We can probably don't need to monitor them very closely. But for some of the agents, we categorize them as hot agents. Those agents, they are actually executing a lot of very critical financial tasks. Like they can execute the payment, on behalf of the AP team. Usually it could be very high ticket size, millions of dollar payments. And then for those agents, definitely we need to monitor them very closely. We need to have the human in the loop. And some agents are between cold and hot, could be warm agents. They perform some low risk reversible actions, for instance, some phone calls or emails, for supplier buyer, communications. And then this agent, we need to create some monitor framework or guardrails, but not as stringent as those hot agents. So the key to monitor all the different type of agents is to having authorization and access control governance framework to have the granularity of those controls. For different agents, you need to have different governance approach. And finally, I would like to give you 3 recommendations. So these recommendations also coming from our research and also from my conversations with many Forrester's enterprise clients. First is you need to recognize the transformative power of agentic AI in AP automation. For instance, I spoke with a manufacturing company in Europe, and this manufacturing company they told me they are very interested in AI, but they the question is the question is actually not about whether they were going to use agentic AI, but the question is where to start, how to use it. So I think this company would be a very good example of which also represent many other companies. So every company nowadays they understand it's quite important. But I think for those companies who have not recognized the importance of agentic AI, you need to act faster because many of your peers they have already recognized the strategic importance of agentic AI in AP. The second recommendation is to find the right external partners which can offer you the agentic AI AP applications with strong governance, with guardrails already in place. So why we're not recommending you to build some agent in-house is because it's actually the core of those AI agents are actually built on top of large language model. And the core of the large language model is also based on the quality of your data. So your company's historical data may be not sufficient enough to create a very strong large language model to power those AI agents. So having an external partner which have a long track record of building AI, which have a lot of cross industry and also have a both supplier and buyer data would be very essential because those external providers they can provide the more sophisticated agents built on top of their richer data. And the last recommendation is to recommendation is actually to answer many of our enterprise clients their burning questions. Where do I start with AI agent? How to use AI agent? So definitely the heat map we shared actually can give you some clues. You definitely can start with those more mature use cases for agentic AI. For instance, those use cases we label as hot or warm hot, which indicate that many other organizations or many peers have already been adopting those agents in their AP process. So definitely those could be the starting point. For instance, invoice data capture, exceptional handling, and even fraud and risk management. You can prioritize those more mature and proven, AP use case by leveraging agentic AI. So that's all my sharing today. Next, I would like to hand over to Matthias.
So thank you very much, Meng. Thank you very much for your explanation. Yeah, let's start and let's have a look how it is possible, as Meng already mentioned, is to use AI and what are possible use cases, for example, in xSuite solutions. But first of all, let's start with a short company introduction from xSuite. xSuite was founded in 1994 with a focus on digitization and archiving of documents. And I think in the early 2000s, we started with workflow-based processes such as invoice processing, which is introduced into our portfolio. And this portfolio, this is very important, has continuously developed, growing both in scope and technology. But this is, I think, important for a company. What's our vision? And our vision is really to offer the most intelligent solution for finance procurement within the SAP ecosystem. Yeah, we know that's definitely a very interesting goal to reach and to reach this goal, how we want to reach this goal, I think we see the maximum automation of business processes as our goal. This is very important. Our target image is, or are, autonomous finance and 100% touchless rate. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but this is definitely our goal. Maybe in the future it's possible to automate processes nearly 100%. And this includes the automation of routine tasks, such as accounting, invoicing, payment processing, and reporting. And the aim is to increase the efficiency and accuracy of these processes through the use of AI and machine learning, as Meng already mentioned, and while relieving employees so that they can focus on more strategic tasks. Let's go a little bit more in detail, and that's what set us apart, what we are offering from the xSuite side. First of all, and this is very important, and I think this is comes very close together with AI strategic things. You need the right professional expertise. And this is what Meng already mentioned. You need maybe partners or you need external partners, whatever, but the right expertise for the processes you want to support with AI, it's really important. And what we can offer as xSuite is we build on 30 years of experience in SAP software development and in SAP's business processes. And we can offer a holistic approach. That means we can offer all software components and services for the solution path comes from one single source. So that means we can bring to you even software and also the support and the business professional services to enabling AI agents and all this stuff. But we will see this a little bit later. And what is also important is that we offering future-proof technology. And that means our software combines innovative AI models with flexible hybrid cloud architectures and other technologies. That's important to understand because, and this is also very important, AI is not the only thing which we are dealing with. AI is one technology, and it is very important to combine different technologies together to have the right, to reach the goal of 100% automation. Okay, some details about the xSuite group. We are more than 300 employees at the moment. We have more than 1,600 customers. Most of the customers are using SAP as their main ERP system or finance backbone. And at the moment, we are do this business in Germany and other 6 locations worldwide, in the US, in Asia, in Singapore, in Spain, in Slovakia, the Netherlands, and Denmark. And at the moment, our financial figures is last year that we reached 50 million of revenue. But let's go a little bit more in detail which solutions we are offering. And one of our core solutions is Accounts Payable, the incoming invoice handling. That means the approval process for incoming invoice. But this combines other things together. For example, a very important topic, e-invoicing. E-invoicing means even incoming invoices as also outgoing invoices, because there's a change. We will see this later. We started with paper-based documents, then we go on with emailed documents and PDFs and emails, and e-invoicing is the next level. This is also a possibility to automate processes, especially from the data quality, much more. And then we are talking about technologies. We can offering our solution inside SAP, inside your SAP S/4HANA system, or also side by side in the business technology platform from SAP. This is more technology. That means we can offering solutions in all deployment models. And we have other processes like procurement, orders. We have an archiving systems to store information. And as you can see here in the lower right, left corner is all these processes are supported by AI, by artificial intelligence. And this is also important. All these deployment models, all the softwares are certified by SAP. Doesn't matter if we are talking about S/4HANA on-prem, in the private cloud, or in the public cloud. Yeah, let's go a little bit more in detail. Now we are talking about one special process, invoice inside your SAP system. And it is important to understand, we are talking about to simplify finance workflows and supercharge productivity with AI-supported invoice automation. And the solution is natively integrated with SAP. And as I already mentioned, we have more than one deployment model. We supported really an SAP integration inside your SAP ERP system. And we have also a side-by-side solution based on the business technology platform available, where we can offer the same technology and you can also handle invoices in the BTP platform. And if you're talking about this processes, this invoice management process, we have a lot of different steps in this process. For example, first of all, we have a lot of input formats. As I already mentioned, we are talking, and maybe a little bit more in the past, about paper, scan paper to a digital information. We are talking about PDF, e-invoices, and other electronic formats. And this is also important, we have different entry channels, like scanning, emailing, offers, and what is new, different networks. Networks are very important for e-invoices. Pebble, for example, is one of these networks, but we have a lot of other portals in different countries, different portals which are very important for the e-invoicing handling. So that means it is very important for a solution to support different entry channels. Then we have a huge task to capture this data. It doesn't matter which entry channel or which input format. What does it mean? We want to extract the data, to analyze the data together with AI. Then we have another thing. We have a prediction server available to propose other information which are not on the invoice. We will see this a little bit later. For example, like accounting information or approver information or the right vendor or company code. Then we have a validation module where you can interact with the system to validate data, to correct data, to train data. And in the end, we have our workflow to steer the processes through the system to find the right approver, the right releaser. We have a lot of reports available. And in the end, we have to store the information in our archiving system. And it's possible to retrieve this information. And this is very important from the compliance point of view. Yes, to give you some figures, what is possible at the moment, I mentioned that our aim, our objective is to reach the 100% touchless rate or autonomous finance. And we have some key figures coming from our customer success team. And we have 3 KPIs, for example, processing time and days, a number of users which are involved in the process, and what is the real touchless rate. And as you can see, we have some best-in-class figures. You can see in green, and in black you can see our customer average. And as you can see, if you're looking to the touchless rate, our best-in-class is 95%, near 100, but the average is 45%. So that means half of the processes, more or less. If we are looking at to the involved users, best-in-class is less users, 0.09. In average is 2 users or 2 agents in the workflow. And as you can see, the processing time is also a huge difference between best-in-class and our average. Best-in-class is only 0 to 5 days. This is more or less a quarter of a day. Average is 6 days. So you can compare this with your own processes. But it's not our goal 100%, but as you can see, it is definitely possible to automate processes in a good way. 95% is really a great figure. Yeah, and how we can support these processes with AI. Meng already touched a lot of areas like Agentic AI, AI agents, or other AI possibilities or capabilities. And we can see this in our overview to reach our goal, 100% touchless rate invoice management. And if we see the process for an incoming invoice, we have different steps in this process, and we can support this different steps with different AI possibilities. If we're looking, for example, to the capturing process, to analyze data, to capture data from an invoice, we have our intelligent document processing based on LLMs, large language models. It's in our Capture Helix software. So it is very easy to use large language models to analyze data and to extract data from an invoice or from other documents like an order or a delivery note or whatever. Then we can add information with our prediction server, as I already mentioned. Not all the information are on the invoice. We need other information to post an invoice and to pay an invoice in the end. For example, like GL accounts, like cost center information, or internal orders or whatever. And we have another agent in place. It's the business data matching agent. And to explain this in a very easy way, we need SAP data to match extracted data from the AI against your SAP master data. For example, a vendor information is great, but we need the right vendor number. A company code information is great, but we need also the company code in SAP. Three-way matching is a great issue. If we have a PO-related invoice, we have to find, or we have to match this invoice against the good receipt, against the purchase order, against all the other invoices, if you have multiple invoices for one PO in the system. This is our business data matching agent. Then we have an invoice verification agent in place to automate processes, to double check processes, and also a processing agent. This is to steer processes through the SAP system. For example, to find the right approver, to release an invoice in the right way, or to automate the process 100%. And as you can see the next slide, all the green areas are already in place in our solution, and we are using this agent already in our current solutions. And this fits very, very good to Meng's heat map. So we have a lot of places where it's very easy, but where it's very common to use AI agents. And as you can see in yellow, we have some other ideas. Fraud protection is a great thing. We have an agent already in place, for example, to find duplicates in the system, but we want to enhance this functionality with other agents to find other topics in the system. And a co-pilot is our idea. A co-pilot means that this co-pilot interact with users in different process steps, and the user can ask whatever they want to this processes. For example, one very easy example is the invoice overview. The invoice overview at the moment is a report, and you can add some selection criteria, and then you will receive a kind of an Excel sheet. But this is also very easy to implement with a co-pilot, and then you can ask the co-pilot based on large language models for some information, some special information in your invoice overview. But this is only one example, and this will come next year. And this is our final picture, our last slide. What is our future environment? As I already mentioned, we have different steps, different technologies. If we are talking about our final destination, everything is based on the SAP Business Technology Platform. We have the different solutions available, like procurement, invoice handling, orders, and so on. In the middle, we have an interaction with our business partners via our business partner portal. And we have different AI services in our cloud platform available as a business data agent, xSuite Copilot, or fraud protection. And on the left-hand side, we see all our intelligent inbound and outbound hub, because we need the information from outside, and we also need the possibility to send information from SAP to the outside world, like outgoing invoices, for example. Yeah, and this is available for SAP, and in the future, we want also add or have the possibility to add other ERP systems, because we have also customers with multiple ERP environment. and they are not only running SAP, maybe they have also some other SAP, other ERP systems in their infrastructure. Yes, this is a short overview about the possibilities. Thank you very much. And yeah, please feel free to ask questions.
Yes.
Yes,
Looking forward
thank you
to the
very much.
questions.
Thank you very much, Matthias, and thank you very much, Meng, for your presentation. So this was really interesting, really insightful, and I think it's really good to have such concrete examples. Yes, I'm checking the questions that we've received in the meantime. So I'm just reading out the questions, and it would be good if you can answer them then. So then the first question is, can you give an example what AI does in non-PO invoice handling?
Yes, this is the example was, for example, the prediction server in non-PO invoices. It is possible to add information which are not on the invoice, and that means, for example, to add the GL account to a cost center, or also to find or to steer a document through the different workflow steps. It is also possible for a workflow agent to find the right approver via AI capabilities.
Okay, thank you very much. Then the next question is going to Matthias as well. So it's which LLM model do you use at xSuite?
Different models, but for example, for the data capturing part, at the moment, it's a model which are hosted by xSuite. That's very important. It is not a model which is free on the internet. It is an own hosted model. And at the moment, it's Mistral. Mistral is one of the LLM models. Is very, very powerful in the direction to analyze data, to find or to capture data from different document types.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question is going to Meng, I assume. Could you give an example for cold, warm, hot agents? What are the use cases?
Yeah, so great question. The cold agent stands for the lower risk agent. For instance, those like some kind of the agent that can answer your queries, provide some of the, for instance, charts or reports, dashboards, and also some agents like they can create some email templates. So those actually are not touching the core financial data, or they're not doing the approval or matching themselves. So those type of agents, actually the risk is more risk is lower. So we don't necessarily need to monitor those agents very closely. So we call it cold. And hot type of agents actually are those doing very, for instance, doing exact matching or exceptional handling. Usually it's quite critical task. And then in order to make sure it's do it correctly, or make sure it's not having more excessive privilege to some of the system, we need to have more stringent controls. So that's for the hot agent. And there are some agent like could sit in between, could be like warm agents. For instance, in the fraud detection, like identify some duplicated payments, or analyze some supplier risk. This could be medium level of risk. So that's some examples.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining. The next question is going to Matthias again. Is there already a customer which is using this tool?
Yeah, there are a lot of customers which are using at least some of the tools. For example, the prediction server is already in place since more than 2 years. Even the LLM for the data capturing part is already live for customers, and it's available in our cloud environment. So you can activate this if you have the right subscription model. And also the business data matching agent is even in the product in the current product available. Yes, there are a lot of customers which are using this.
Okay, thank you very much. So then I can see one more question in the list. So it's from which data does the AI learn? Is it only the historical data within my SAP system or external sources as well?
This depends. The prediction server is learning from historical data from the SAP system. That means all the posting data and the image data. And if you're talking about the capturing part, this is definitely not a training because this is based on an LLM, and it's not necessary to train the system with external or internal data.
Okay, thanks for explaining. So I just noticed one other question came in just this second. It says, what subscription do we need to activate the AI solutions?
If we are talking about invoice, it's the invoice premium package. Then it's possible to activate their LLM functionality based on Hades capture.
And here is a follow-up question. And is it possible to activate it on-premise?
No. Very easy question. No, it's only available in the cloud.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Yes, so that's all the questions that we've received. Thank you very much, Meng, Matthias, that you took the time to answer the questions. I think this was very useful for the participants. So thank you very much for the session today, and then have a nice rest of your day. And to the rest of our participants, thanks for joining, and I hope to see you in our next upcoming webinar again. Thanks, and have a great
Thanks
day.
everyone for joining.
Bye.
Have a nice one.
Thank you very much, Meng. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Bye-bye.